everyone, and thanks for joining us on Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. It's the fourth Wednesday of the month of May, and that means it's time for our Bird Notes program. Joining us, as always, is bird expert and conservation biologist for Audubon, Vermont, Mark LaBarr. Thank you so much for coming in.
Always great to be here.
We're always happy to have you, and spring migration season is underway. It's a phenomenal time of change right now in the skies.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Yeah, this is an exciting time for many birders because migration is underneath, May is the time. And not only do we get to see a chance to, our arriving birds, the birds that show up and spend time with us, but also many species that will pass through. Now, I'm talking about a lot of our smaller birds. A lot of the waterfowl and some other things have already moved through and started their migrations. But for these neotropical migrants or short distance migrants, this is the time that we can see the most of them.
And what have you been seeing at the Audubon Center?
Well, it's one of those things. We sit here in April, we patiently wait for the birds to start coming back. And this is an early bird that shows up, and this is the song sparrow. And, it's our common sparrow that we find here in Vermont. People see it all the time, has that black dot right in the middle. But when you've had a dearth of birds and you're working with chickadees and woodpeckers and stuff like that, having somebody new show up in your yard, even though it's one of these little brown birds, is very exciting. So that, and recently at the Audubon, which is really cool, we've had now for a couple weeks up there, is a bird that when I first started there we didn't see, the northern parula. A really tiny, small bird, but very colorfully adorned. And this is a bird that, like I said, got back a couple weeks ago, so did the song sparrow. And we've been hearing it around the Audubon Center, around the office, pretty regularly now for the past 2 or 3 years.
So with the song sparrow, and then I guess with this one, it's not only a new bird to see, but also a new bird to hear. Is that right?
Yeah. It's been, occasionally we would see them a decade ago or hear them, but now they're here and they seem to be breeding at the Audubon. So they've taken up space with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like they're pretty happy.
Yes.
And how about this one?
And this is another great one. So at the Audubon Center, we have the Huntington River, which flows through the center, but we also have what's called Sherman Hollow Brook. And this is just a little babbling brook up in the side, and this bird, the Louisiana water thrush, loves this kind of habitat. They actually nest up underneath the banks of the brook, and so this is one that when I walk on the backside of the Audubon over near Sherman Hollow Brook, I hear it singing away, and I know things are getting started.
Sure. Is it named that because it's coming up from Louisiana?
Well, it's actually it was probably named that because it was seen in Louisiana. And so no, it's one of those birds that, it's a neotropical migrant. It's probably coming up from Central South America. And there's a couple of different species, the palm warbler, which actually breeds, way north of us, not way north, but north of us, but was obviously seen in some palm trees when they first decided to name it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you've said that you've seen some different birds migrating, but how about the timing? Is that changing at all?
Yeah, it's interesting because it seemed this year that our hummingbirds came back early. That's at least what I was hearing, or our hummingbird, the ruby-throated hummingbird. And it seemed to come a little earlier than most people were expecting. I had one come to my feeder briefly and then kind of disappear for 5 days a week. They're just now getting started. Another bird that we had show up, not at the Audubon, but at some of our other sites, is the golden-winged warbler. This is a species that we work with to do habitat work, Audubon Vermont does with landowners. And this species showed up again about 5 days earlier than we expected. Now, people have been asking me, is this climate change, all of that kind of stuff? And there could be some of that with it, but it could be that they also got a great tailwind. And a south wind that was blowing right up, and it was more of a proximate thing that brought them here to the state a little bit earlier. So
a lot of factors there.
A lot of factors that play in. I mean, when they leave, golden wings are down in Central America, northern South America. When they leave, they don't know what the weather is here in Vermont. So their timing is based on what they feel down in, and there's a German word for that, which don't ask me how to pronounce that, but it clicks in their head that it's time to move. And so, yeah, they just, got a good south wind.
Yeah, and the bears are out, which means the bird feeders are in. But if you want to feed a hummingbird, that's not
You
that's
know,
not a bear
yeah,
problem, is it?
hummingbird feeders are a little bit different than seed feeders. I wouldn't put it past a bear to knock one down and have a little drink, but they're less likely to do so. And oftentimes, you know, they're hung at a height and so on and so forth. And so you can leave your hummingbird feeders up and take your seed feeders down.
Sure. And remind us of the golden ratio for hummingbird feed.
So it is 4 to 1. 4 scoops of sugar to 1. Four cups of water. That would be a very active. They're active enough. 4 cups of water to 1 scoop of sugar. 4 to 1 ratio.
And we've got some other birds that are back now. Tell me about the tree swallow.
So this is another one. You know, it's funny because the tree swallow, we have many boxes, bluebird boxes is which they use. And the tree swallows will show up on a nice sunny day, and you'll hear them around, and then they go away for a couple days if the weather's bad. So again, birds can fly. So if they get here and the weather is not great, you know, we'll just head a little bit further south until it's, it's better. So this is a bird that kind of comes and goes at the Audubon until they kind of come in and settle in some of the boxes that we have set up around the center.
Yeah, vacation here a little bit.
Yeah, they just test in the water, see how it is, because they're an insect feeder. Many of these species are, and so they time their arrival for this flush of insects that come out, and if that's a little delayed, then they may not stick around, and then they'll come back when there's plenty of bugs to eat.
Sure. And how about this common yellowthroat?
So this is one of my favorites. This is this bird, witchety witch. This is a bird of wet areas. The masked bandit, this is a male. The female is much drabber. This is one that we find showing up all around some of the wet areas that we have at the Audubon. It's a pretty common bird here in Vermont, so always good to see them back. I mean, every time you walk out your door, you're like, who's here today, you know, and you know who, and it can go quiet for a while, and then you'll get another good push. The past couple of days have been really good, and so it's like a birthday present every day.
And fittingly for you, happy birthday month to you.
Thank you, yes.
And we've got another bird, the chestnut-sided warbler.
So this is we have these because our habitat at the Audubon is very mixed. We have forest, we have fields, and we have a lot of this edge, young forest, you know, young trees that are growing up. And the chestnut-sided warbler, pleased to meet you, is one of those birds that uses that habitat. And I kind of like it, you know, usually you often walk through that habitat before you get to a forest. So they're kind of like the greeters.
Sure.
They're pleased to meet you. And then you go into the forest to see some of the other forest birds.
That's a great welcome.
Yeah.
And how about the ovenbird?
So this is a great one. If you were walking into a forest and you heard the pleased to meet you on the edge, and then you walk a little bit further, you get the ovenbird. And the ovenbird is a warbler. So it gets its name because it nests and it makes a little oven-shaped thing on the floor of the forest, complete with a little top. And its song is, when I'm working with kids, pizza, 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 pizza. And where does the pizza go? In the oven.
The oven. Oh, yeah, perfect.
And that's one way for them. You know, you got to come with all these songs and everything. You got to come up with some pneumatic ways of remembering the different songs from year to year. So the ovenbirds are back singing away at the Audubon, and it's great to walk through the woods and hear them go into town. They're loud.
Yeah, and with all these birds, it sounds like you're seeing them at the Audubon Center. So what makes it such a good place to see birds?
Again, it's one of those things that the center is a mix. We've got a river, we've got the Peeper Pond, which is a shallow pond, our beaver ponds, we've got mature forest, we've got edge habitat. So when you combine all these different habitat types, you get different birds that are using these habitat types. And birds in migration will often use habitat that they don't breed in. You know, we might see a blackpoll warbler at the Audubon, but they breed at the top of Mount Mansfield. So this time of year, that combination of habitat types is great. Our birdathon is coming up in next week, I guess. And we will be going out and trying to see as many species as we can and raise money. So if folks want to sponsor me, they can write on in and do that.
All right, absolutely. And I mean, no parent wants to choose a favorite, but birders aren't quite the same. So what's a migratory bird that you're looking forward to seeing?
The one bird I like yellow warblers. So when I was up and lived on Knight Island up in Lake Champlain, there were yellow warblers all over the place. And, another one, sweet, 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 you're so sweet. This is just a great striking bird with its all yellow. It's one of the warblers that just is all yellow plumage. And they just, when they're here, they sing. They like shrubby areas, easy to get your binoculars on to see them. So that's a fun bird.
And how about the rose-breasted grosbeak?
So this is another one. This is one that people, if they do have left their feeders up, may come to your feeders. This is you can see the size of that bill when we're banding them. You have to make sure that bill doesn't nip your fingers because it's very strong, right up there with cardinals. And the rose-breasted grosbeaks, they show up. They sound kind of like a more musical robin. I won't try to imitate that. But they're just, these males with that dark head and that splash of red is just, again, exciting to see in our woods.
All right, and how about the barn swallow?
So the barn swallow, this one's a great bird. We have barn swallows that are using our shop, our barn. And they're great to see. I can see it on my porch. I can watch them flying around. The one challenge is once they build their mud nest in the shop and they have young, there's a lot of mess that comes out of that nest from those young. So we have to lay down cardboard and cover things up in the shop.
A messy neighbor.
It's a messy neighbor, but they're fun to just see buzz around.
And we are almost out of time, but I jumped the gun earlier. Now tell us what your favorite bird is.
So my favorite bird is probably the gray catbird. First bird I ever held and as a bander. And then this is a bird that has a very varied song. And we'll use that song throughout the day. So when I'm out in the garden, there's one that nests in and around the shrubby areas of my house. It'll be like, so I have a conversation with it all day. It's something sings very melodically, but then has all these short little phrases that you'll hear throughout the day, and it's just kind of a companion for me.
What's that sound again, just so we can keep an ear out for it?
It's very difficult. It's very musical. It's like they make all sorts of clattering sounds, and they're a mimid, so they're in with the mockingbirds and things like that. So they have quite a range of musical attributes.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. It's always great to have you on.
Always great to be here.
And if you have a question for Mark LaBarr, you can send it along to Mark's address on your screen, or you can drop him an email at mlabarr@audubon.org. Send Mark your questions and pictures, and I'll try and find the answers for you on an upcoming edition of Bird Notes. That takes care of our program for today. I want to thank the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX. I'm Jolie Whitney. This is Across the Fence. Have a good one.